Walking around Europe's most northerly town during an Arctic snowstorm. But is it Europe's most northerly town? On this video, as part of my Havila Coastal Express voyage, we stop off at Honningsvåg, gateway to the North Cape. We'll take in the town, I'll acquire a new friend, before we brave worsening weather to enjoy some Arctic fine dining. Welcome to the latest episode of my cruise up the Norwegian coast with Havila, the Coastal Express cruise, and looked out the window, saw it was a bit grey but didn't think too much of it, then thought I'd come up and take in the view, and it's been snowing overnight. It's been snowing, not a lot, but there's little bits that you can see around the ship, but this is kind of the precursor to it, you know. We're expecting more snow to come in, but also at the moment it's not really that windy. However, we are promised that when we get to Honningsvåg and the route up to the North Cape, that the wind is going to pick up to the extent that they're probably going to cancel the buses up to the North Cape. We'll see. But what's it going to be like? I'm not going to be reaching for that sick bag. I promise I won't film that, if I do. In the last half hour, that weather has picked up just a touch, not really that much more windy, but this passing Hortin ship just gives you a flavour, probably a better idea of what the weather's maybe just starting to do. So what part of Norway are we taking in during this part of the Coastal Express voyage? Well, a couple of overnight stops that I slept through, including Hammerfest, and then we're going to be stopping soon in Havila before then heading to Honningsvåg and the North Cape. And then it's just darting across the top of Norway, where that weather, if it is to come, will be impacting our journey, and who knows, maybe my fine dining experience. In truth, I didn't spend all my time out on deck. I retreated to this lounge on deck 9, which I had largely, as you can see, to myself. But it did feel like these bags were eyeballing me with the threat of bad weather incoming. The Coastal Express stops off at 34 ports, big and small, up and down the Norwegian coast. But for me, this is where the real beauty of being on board is. There's magic in the mundane. Havila will see a Coastal Express ship stop here twice a day. But for us, our one stop going north, and if you're coming south, the other stop, still has a special feeling about it. It was at this stage that we found out that the weather wasn't yet bad enough to stop those going to the North Cape. Their excursion was going to go ahead. If you're enjoying this voyage up the Norwegian coast, there's many more videos to come, including next time dog sledding by the Russian border. So you know what to do to not miss out. Tickle the old subscribe button. Well, in theory, it's spring, it's close to the end of March, but we're in the Arctic Circle and we're at Honningsvåg now, and it's snowing and it's quite cold. Quite a few people are about to get off and go up to the North Cape. I'm not doing it on this video, and trust me, the people going today, I'm not sure what sort of view they're going to get. Unless things really change, not much of a view. However, I did go to the North Cape last summer, and the link to that video is on the screen now, and trust me, you'll never see a more spectacular drive up to the North Cape than the one I was lucky enough to enjoy. But I'm going to brave this snowstorm and head out into Honningsvåg, have a look around, and you're going to come along too, hopefully. First though, need to get some thermals on. Well, we're off the ship, as you can see. Full thermals on, they're doing the trick. The advice was to get, believe it or not, woolen underwear and undergarments, and at the moment it is doing the trick. I don't feel too cold. To be honest, it's not that windy though, as you can hear here. I think it'll be a lot windier up at the North Cape. Anyway, so this is the view out over the harbour. I asked one of the crew if this counted as heavy snow, and they looked at me a little funnily and went, no. So anyway, I think we all know in the UK we'd have stopped by now, but we're nowhere near that. So most of the passengers are either still on board, sensible people, or they've already got on the buses and they've headed across to the North Cape. It's about an hour's journey, if I recall correctly. There was a little bit of a concern that the winds would cause problems out there, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as they thought, hence they've gone. Although the warning on the tannoy was, I thought, quite funny. He said it's going to be about -1 at the North Pole, but with the wind, -100. So I think we're best off out of that. As you'd be able to see on my other video when I visited the North Cape on this channel in the summer, it was chalk and cheese to what it's like today. It was really, really busy. Lots of buses, blue skies, and temperature around 20 degrees. Today, ghost town, and it's around -1, -2. It's not too bad. Thankfully, we've got a chance of getting a view of the ship here. There is a story to that dog which is detailed here, but I don't think you really want to read that, so I'll tell you about it when I walk around town in a minute. But the dog is Bamse. Let's have another look at him. Seeing the trolls reminds me of my previous video on this channel and going to the Troll Museum in Tromsø. I don't think you can see that by going and having a look on the playlist for my trip on this Havila ship. But it also makes me feel, seeing that and going to the Troll Museum, I'm going to have to go back to the souvenir shop over there and do the ultimate tourist thing in Norway and get myself a troll. But now let's have a look at a little bit more of the town. We're not going to be able to go too far because it's a bit spread out, but let's see what we can see. Across northern Norway you'll see lots of big wooden racks, and they're there to dry the fish, predominantly cod, and there's a small version of it for some reason just here near the ship. If you look up the hill or mountain just behind Honningsvåg, you'll see some fences to catch any potential avalanches from hitting the houses below. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them in the space of about 100 metres. From what I can see, most of the business here is either tourism for the North Cape or fishing. So to Bamse, the St Bernard. It served aboard the Therod, a Norwegian naval minesweeper in World War II. It was actually registered as a crew member, and it used to boost morale amongst the crew and the locals in Dundee and Montrose. He was known also for breaking up fights between sailors and would ride on the bus alone to round up crews from the pub when it was time to leave. He died in 1944 and has a statue here and also in Montrose in Scotland. And that behind me, that's the road you take when you're heading up to the North Cape. Is it just me, or is that some sort of, I don't know, ice sculpture of a ship? I think it's seen better days, don't you? Well, the wind is definitely increasing a little bit, so a chance perhaps to go inside the souvenir store to get my troll and then to head back to the ship. Don't forget we got that fine dining experience towards the end of the video as well. Trolls come from Norse mythology. Often described as dim-witted, they live in mountainous regions and forests. They fear sunlight, but they're often quite respected in folklore. You can buy a troll pretty much anywhere in Norway. Oh, and they really exist. So I have my troll, which I'll show you in a second. But let's have a little walk around to the harbour and then get back on board our Havila ship. At this stage, I need to tackle the phrase northernmost town in mainland Europe. Honningsvåg, where we are today, claims that prize, but it is on an island, so is it really mainland Europe? If that's the case, then it's Hammerfest, which has the oldest claim to being a town, getting that recognition in 1789, where Honningsvåg got it in 1996. Then we come to population side. Honningsvåg is less than 3,000, Hammerfest is more than 10,000. Put that all to one side though, because then you've got Longyearbyen up on Svalbard, which is most definitely the northernmost settlement, town maybe, in the world. It's getting properly cold now. The wind is even a little bit more than a few minutes ago. The ship is definitely calling me back. Let's have a quick look, like I said, at the harbour, and I'll introduce you to my new little friend. With our ship behind me, let's introduce you to my new friend. Now look, I can't unwrap and hold a camera at the same time, so I'm going to have to do some magic instead. Here he is! Woohoo! I think we look great together, don't you? This is my friend Torbjorn. I'm going to name him after the bus driver when we went to the Bergen Fjord. He just looks so thoughtful. Good old Torbjorn. Yes, I have the snood on. It is properly cold now. And you know, walking along here, it made me think of that phrase, mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. Well, perhaps we need a little change to it. Mad dogs and Englishmen go out in winter weather, because nobody else is walking around the streets apart from tourists. All the locals are quite comfortably tucked up in the wall. Cold, cold, and cold again. But on the next video, I'm going to be going on a dog sled, which I think will be cold, 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 and even colder. So if you looked up there, you could see just about the sun, which hopefully means it's going to clear a bit later, because you never know, we might get some more northern lights later in this episode. But my fingers are frozen, my face is frozen, the rest of the body's fine, so I think it's definitely time to get back in the warm. Yes, if you're looking for a snack, there is a little place just as you come off the ship on your left, and there's also a museum there. But it's not I can't even talk, but it's not museum weather. It's getting back inside, getting warm weather. Time to leave Honningsvåg. Now, if you think I need to toughen up, you're probably right. But it was pretty cold, largely down to wind chill. The actual temperature was around -1, -2. But as you heard, it was getting pretty windy, which meant that the seas got a little bit more rough, as hopefully you can see on some of these shots. The worst of it you can see shot from inside, but in truth for me, it wasn't reach for a sick bag time. but it might be for you. Finally then, my day ended with fine dining at Hildring. On the screen now is how much it cost me. I thought for the price, it was pretty good. Very enjoyable and a nice treat during your time aboard a Havila ship.